Well, I just received a text from Bernie, and he said that the 12 and 18 are coming. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Well, that means they're definitely not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And welcome everyone to episode 120 of the Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Kenny, Anthony, and Steven. Hello, fellas.
Hello, how are you?
Dandy.
What's up, guys? How are y'all?
There you go. I was a little bit aggressive there. I kind of came with the microphone like
Hulk Hogan.
Like Hulk. Brother. I came with the microphone.
Like it was a knob.
Like it was enough. Oh my God. Oh, fantastic. Well, it's nice to be back around the table with both of you gentlemen, reunited again, all three of us, doing what we love, which is drinking America's finest spirit.
L81.
That is a good one. For those of you guys who don't, do you Ale81, Kenny, or Late One, or whatever they call it? You don't do that?
I Ale8 none.
You Ale8 none?
I L8 none as well.
My kids love it. My wife loves it, though, but not me.
Yeah, so those of you who don't know, that's a special proprietary ginger ale made in Winchester, right?
Yep.
No, but I enjoy that ginger. It's a good ginger ale once in a while. A lot of people
It's
like
not ginger ale.
It isn't?
No.
What is it?
I like ginger ale. It's not ginger ale.
What, well, what's it supposed to be? Isn't it supposed to be like a nice spirit? I mean,
it was
spirit. Spirit.
I thought it was a variation of ginger ale.
That's what they say.
But isn't it? It's got special flavors and things that you'll love. We're not doing an advertisement for them, but I do know that I enjoy it. And sometimes I enjoy mixing it with bourbon.
A lot of people do make good mixed drinks with it.
Yeah. There's a slushy machine at one of the restaurants around here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
I think it's an Ale8 bourbon slushy.
KS Bar has that, right?
Yeah.
I think it was KS Bar.
It would be KS
It
Bar,
would be.
Steven. He's you KSR. He's a KSR horror. So, gentlemen, I wanted to tell you guys about an experience that I recently had. It was the Jim Beam experience.
Oh.
Have either of you been to Jim Beam?
I have not.
I have not as well.
Well, let me back up 1 second. I have thrice,
Thrice.
but all 3 times they were closed.
Oh.
Wait a minute. How did that work? So you're just going down the Parkway, heading toward Jim Beam, and you're just like magically they're closed?
Yeah,
Do you show up there Monday every time?
I showed up during COVID.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was close by there, and I'm like, if I'm close by, I'm going to stop by. And each time, just nope.
Most places are closed. Well, I was shocked at how close it is to. It's only about an hour and 20 minutes. It's one of the ones that people think is a longer drive from Lexington, but
It's quite a haul, though.
yeah, it is a haul. But when you're on the Parkway, you don't really have to pay attention to anything. You could just put your car on cruise control and go straight down the Parkway, and you might end up in the Kentucky River, but it's okay. So anyway, the reason this came to be was because the local university that I work at, there was another professor type like me. He said, I'm going to be going to the Jim Beam distillery, and one of our colleagues kind of hooked us up, They said, you should meet this guy. He likes bourbon and whatnot. So he invited me out there. He was running like this class for the distillery, and I got to be part of like a simulated tour, which was a really cool experience. And so it was like after hours, and it was at the new Fred B. No Distillery, which is like the experimental distillery. Have you guys heard about that?
I have.
I have.
Yep.
And what do you know about it?
I heard that Anthony went there one time.
I heard it's experimental.
You heard it was experimental? Well, no, it's like they got...
That's probably like we did that little book. It's probably where they did a lot of that experimental stuff for the little book, I would imagine, right?
Exactly. So it was where they did a lot of that kind of stuff for Little Book, and they
That was
were...
what, chapter 6 or what?
Yeah, chapter 6. And when I was there, they were running like... it was funny. Everyone's like, do you know what they're running on the still? And I'm like, I don't know. It looks like bourbon to me, right? I don't know what it is. And it was actually Baker's that they said they were distilling right there through the window that I could see when I was touring the distillery. But this is like a state-of-the-art experience that they have curated up there. It's beautiful inside. They have like a tasting bar downstairs. It's just a really awesome facility, and I think that it's kind of like soft open to the public right now, so a lot of groups have gone through there and stuff like that, because I did ask them, like, are we some of the first people to be in here? And they're like, no. Unfortunately, other people have been here. It didn't feel special after that. But no, it was actually a really cool experience, and I don't know, like, I've never really like thought of Jim Beam as a tourist experience. I don't know why, and I was really impressed with what they're putting out up there and what they're doing with that new distillery. It was just really awesome.
So what's soft about it? Like, You have to get invited, or it's like an optional thing on some days?
Well, from what I could tell, when I asked the question about whether it was like a soft opening or not, like they're in process for certain things.
Okay.
Like, so off to the main bar, they had like a bottle your own bourbon experience, which they just had barrels just sitting like in a rick house, like a small rick house in an area where you can fill like up to like 4 or 5 of your own bottles or something. But they're still going through like the TTB process for that and things like that. So obviously no one's in there doing that because it's not open yet.
Right.
The people that were with you, were they their employees or were they other industry people or what?
It was actually
just
like
the actual students
Yeah.
under there for the.
No, it was actually employees that were there, and they're doing like a training or some kind of
Okay.
certification that's offered as a partnership between the university and Jim Beam, which was really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
Not allow them to go through the steps, the procedures, jump through the hoops. So if they do, when they do open it up, then they've got,
yeah. Yeah,
everything down pat.
Yeah, I think that was it. It's kind of like to enhance the experience because a lot of people that were there are long-time employees. I just got to stand around and ask stupid questions and smile a lot and, wave around and like, look at me, I'm over here in the Beam Distillery. That's kind of what I was doing. So it was a really cool experience. And then I got to see these spots where like Freddie and Fred can park their cars, like so the designated parking spots for them, which was really cool. I don't know why that was cool, but it was just cool to be like see where they park every morning and stuff like that. And I actually am not good with directions. Do you guys know that?
or geography.
Or
I guess it goes
geography.
hand in hand.
Yeah. So when I got there, I actually parked and started walking in the wrong direction. So like I had to be rescued.
Like, there's buildings over there. I think I'll turn around and go towards the field.
That's like precisely what I did. So I got out of my car and I started walking, and I immediately knew something was wrong because I was walking in the direction that I came from, and I'm like, I'm walking.
I just passed
Same
my
area
car.
that I drove in.
Yeah, I drove in from this area.
Says
and I'm
welcome,
like,
and
now
I'm
I'm
leaving.
walking back here, and I look back and the distillery's behind me. So I'm like, I better call somebody because I'm really that sharp, And so I called, and they're like, "Where are you at?" And I'm like, down here, and I wave, and they're like, "Oh my God!" They're like, "Walk back over here," and I'm like, "Okay." So I started off on the wrong foot, but ended up having a good time. So great experience, and when they are like fully going out there, I highly recommend going out there because that was an amazing experience. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a fun yellow school bus trip. All right, so continuing our fun trend of catching up with shout outs, we have another one.
Oh yeah, we got one from Bill C in Virginia Beach. So the reason why we know Bill C is because he has been a listener who's been with us since the beginning. Mm-hmm. And his title of his review was "The Podcast Gets Better." Well, thanks, Bill. I'm glad that you are endorsing that it gets better. He said, "I wrote a review a year ago, and you all continue to have, and in my opinion, one of the best podcasts in the genre. High compliment. Your approach makes me feel like I'm part of your conversations, and the shows have gotten better and better. Continue doing what you're doing." Well, thank you.
So what genre do you have us filed under?
Well,
That's a good one, right? It's a good one. No,
Thank you, Bill C.
Yeah, we're what are we under? Food,
arts and crafts.
arts and crafts.
No, food.
Yeah, it's food. Yeah, isn't that weird?
Underwater basket weaving. We are the best.
The best in the genre. That's what we were going for the whole time.
So if you'd like a shout out, just leave a review on Apple Podcasts. The next time we record, we will give you one. So fellas, I have a small bottle tonight.
That's tiny.
It is tiny. It's like almost like a flask.
How many milliliters is that?
Oh, it's not very many.
It's not very.
Some would say 325 probably.
Oh, is it not for resale?
Or 100. What is this?
It should be a 200.
200
milliliter.
I'll say
Nice.
it again.
Very good. No,
If that was at Target, it would be easy to take, right, Anthony?
that'd be very. That guy would be having a field day stealing those. My kids are missing their items. I'm going to go grab some more milliliters off the shelf.
So for tonight, guys, we have a media sample of Old Fitz Bourbon. This is the spring 2023 edition, and this is the 10-year Fitz.
Ooh, you know me. I love me some Old Fitz. So this one is distilled by the Heaven Hill Distillery. The bottle date is 2023. The ABV is 50%, proof 100. The age, of course, as we just said, is 10 years. The mash bill is 75% corn, 20% rye, and 5% malted barley. And the MSRP of this guy, if it wasn't a media sample, and we came across it on the shelf, is $140.
I'm still confused by this one, and I've not done any research on it. 'Cause
Okay.
we were all of us were told that last year's 19 was the last one in the Decanter Series.
So we have to go through this real quickly. Who are we?
Did you research that?
Well, I did research it a little bit, but who were we told this by? Because I want to compare data points.
Multiple insiders that I know.
Right. You were told it by multiple insiders. I was told it by people who went on the tour. So there are people that said they were on the tour at Heaven Hill.
And then the
asked
employees
about
told
it.
them that.
And the employee said, we're discontinuing the Decanter Bottle and Bond series stuff, right?
I remember when you told me that. I was kind of shocked.
Right. And so I happen to, we can get into my love for Decanter Series stuff here in a minute. So we were told all this stuff. And then while I'm researching it, I come across an article, I think it was Bourbon Culture, that talked about how Bernie Lubbers, who's a brand ambassador, like one of the most well-known brand ambassadors for Heaven Hill, right? He was on record saying that there was going to be 10 total releases of this. Started in the spring 2018, was supposed to end, I believe, whatever year. I think it was supposed to end last year in the fall, right? And lo and behold, we never saw any releases. And magically, it's fall 2023, and we have the spring 2023 release here in front of our very eyes, right? So what the heck is going on here?
I truly haven't researched it at all, so this literally means nothing. But my guess is, I know there was a huge bottle shortage. If you remember how they were late bringing out some of the other ones? Yeah. My guess is somebody may have double ordered, triple ordered some bottles because they're like, oh, we don't have any. Let me order some bottles. So they might not have known there's just a back order shortage. So whoever makes their glass might have had all these extra orders, and Heaven Hill had to no, you have to buy these. Maybe I'm just totally guessing. That literally means nothing. But why else would? Everybody said there was last year's 19 year was the last one. Yeah. So unless they have more glass show up, why else would they drop one?
Oh, that's very smart. So maybe, and we do have a saying on the Mashup podcast, which is if you heard it on the Mashup podcast, it's probably true, right?
Right.
That's right. So
yeah, I'm totally guessing. But why else would they drop another one?
That makes sense.
After everybody.
Yeah, we don't have any more 19.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wait, we got 10.
We magically have 10-year-old bourbon sitting around that we're now putting in decanters. So that is a little bit weird. And as someone who's been collecting these, you guys know I collect these.
Yes.
Now I'm kind of annoyed because I thought I was done having to chase them down because they're not easy to find. And now I have another one to chase down.
Not one. He has to have 5 more. Oh, because he has 5 verticals.
I don't know.
So he has to have
no 5 verticals. Come on, man. You put me out there like that. But real quickly, talking about this bottle for people that have never seen this bottle before, we have a media sample, but we also have a regular bottle sitting around here as well. And so, I think that's what I love the most about this. I don't know about you guys.
It's got to be the sexiest bottle.
It's the prettiest.
It's definitely, and it has I don't know many others that are able to do that glass top, the glass top with the cork attached to it like that. I know that there's others that have nice tops. What do I call it? Like adornment. But it's. Do you know where that comes from? Where the inspiration for the decanter comes from?
Old men.
Old men. You've talked in previous episodes about the old men filling up the decanter. Yes. And having guests over look at my whiskey that's decanted. You can't leave it in there too long.
Decanted. I like it.
You get lead. You can get lead poisoning from that, right? For that lead crystal.
Yeah.
Lead crystal.
I've got one up there. I have the original Wild Turkey crystal one.
That's right.
The lead crystal.
Well, maybe we need to take that and fill it up with some Old Fitz.
And drink it.
There you go. Fantastic. But no, it gets its inspiration from the 1950s. So the 1950s, Fitz had a like diamond or crystal decanter that they were serving the bourbon in to make it more enticing because, people don't like bourbon as much back then.
And it just kind of followed the decades, and now it's the bottle.
Yeah, I think that it's, one of those things where nostalgia sells, right? Mm-hmm. And people like the retro feel. And so
definitely is reminiscent of a Dusty, right?
Yeah, it makes you think of a Dusty. And then how long ago was that Old Fitz pulled back all their product off the shelf? Do you remember what year that was? Anybody?
I do not.
So they had a gold label, which honestly is terrible. I hate to say that, but there was a lot of that product floating around. It was like a $12 bottle, and I think it was 2 or 3 years old. And it has a gold foil label, and it looked like, I don't even know what it tasted like. It smelled like lantern oil, and it tasted terrible. Yeah, very bad. And so those bottles and the green label bottle and bond, which I think was 4 years old, there was a time period where Fitz pulled almost like a Buffalo Trace kind of thing, where they're like, let's pull all the product off the shelf. act like it's not being discontinued. And then when it came back years later, it was premium aged in a decanter, and it cost a lot more than it used to.
Was that the same time they took the Heaven Hell Green label off the shelves?
Yes, that's another thing that Bernie Lubbers was wrong about. I think Bernie was in front of multiple people saying Heaven Hill Green label 6-year will not go away, and then magically it went away. So I'm not trying to put Bernie on Front Street tonight, but I mean, he's wrong about a lot of discontinuing of product.
My guess is, as wrong as he is as many times, I think it's on purpose.
You think so?
If not, I mean, what the heck?
I know he's out front, like just telling people at these events, like, we will not discontinue. This is the last bottle, or whatever he's saying. And next thing you know, he's completely wrong. So yeah, it's got to be strategic, right?
Yeah. Did you see? Which we talked about the really cool Father's Day experience I had with Freddie. Did you see the bottle that actually Mossett cracked? That actually was that decanter style Old Fitz from like the 50s or 60s. It was pretty cool.
Oh, no way. Mossick had one of those?
Oh, yeah. Fresh cracked it, bro. It's pretty slick.
What doesn't he? So that was is that Stitzelweller then? Was that a Stitzelweller? Oh, my God. Was that dreamy?
Oh, it was amazing.
I've never had. Well, no, I have had the pleasure. Sorry.
It's okay.
That's a moment. Okay. I did try, like a quarter of an ounce of Stitzelweller here. I think you had a sample.
Yeah. I think his was like it's like 55 or 65, but I think it was, I can't remember now. I got to find the picture of that. It was good. It was amazing.
Nice.
Well, should we go for our first nose?
Sure. So there's some nice nosing there, like a little bit of a creme brulee and berries.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting.
And we'll bring this, I will take this time to say, I think we talked about it before. If you ever blind Anthony with a weeder from any distillate, he will guess weeder. I don't know, something about in his system. It's crazy. He really does.
It's in my DNA.
No, it is, man. I mean, you don't guess everything right all the time. Who does? It's hard. But weeder, you're dialed in.
Yeah.
And I've given you some MGP weeders. I gave you some other. What was it? It was that one place out of North Carolina, like their own juice, and just anything. It's a weeder. Somehow
that was
you're dialed in.
Paragon, I think it was. Is that 5-star Paragon or something like that?
2-star,
5-star.
Yeah, but it was any kind of weeder, man. Anthony's on it.
Well, I liked what I'm nosing here. The only thing that's interesting about a Fitz nose, and I have a lot of experience with Fitz, never this 10 years, the first time I'm trying this. Obviously, it's not even released in some markets yet. There's like a back end of the nosing, a little bit of burnt corn note that I get.
But honestly, I am excited for this one. And the reason I say that is I think overall, and I've not lined them all up side by side and tried them side by side, but I've had multiple ones through the years.
Yeah.
8 years my favorite, which is, you would think it's weird because, wheat takes longer to develop than corn. But the 8-year is my favorite out of these different decanter series. I did like the 19 better than the 17.
Okay.
16 didn't care for at all. I think maybe the 11 was pretty decent, but man, so a 10-year being it's younger, I've got high hopes for this one.
I was kind of with you. Like I've had them all, but I've had some that were in the teens.
Yeah.
And I remember not liking them as much as I thought I would.
Yeah. And my thought on that is, these are not probably, the older it is, a lot of times at Heaven Hill, at least you're going to have higher proof, right? Because, it's higher rick house or tall rick house or, it's not like they're next to a big body of water where they're, super humid like some of the MGP or some of the places where they store MGP at. So the proof is getting more and more high or higher as it comes along. Well, unfortunately for all of these, and I say unfortunately because, to me it is, I just love barrel proof bourbon, but unfortunately these are all at 100 proof. Yeah. So if you have an 8-year, chances are, it's probably less water added to the 8-year to make it down to 100 proof versus a 11, 13, 15-year, whatever. So when you get it older and older, you pick up more tannins and more oak, right? Right. But once you water down that, you water down a lot of the flavor, but you still keep the oak. The oak does not get watered down very much.
I gotcha.
Speaking of high humidity, have you heard about the Jefferson's high humidity bottle?
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I'm wondering
if that's having to do with
I have it.
You have it? They came out with like the Ocean series.
Right, the Oceans.
I think there's an Oceans, but a high humidity Oceans.
Okay.
I think they took the boat down to Singapore or something. I'm
forgot about
serious.
it.
I think they took it down and forgot about it in
I went to
Singapore.
Nam and just sat there.
Yeah, they did.
And sitting off the coast of California waiting to get checked in. And get extra aged out there.
Port.
That's supply chain, right?
Yeah, it was.
That's the next release. Stuck at port.
If they don't market that,
They should.
If they don't market that,
They totally should. So, are you thinking that maybe there's?
I'm making, dude. If we ever pick a Jefferson's, we actually done a couple of Jeffersons in some of our local groups.
Yeah.
If we ever pick another one, it's stuck at port.
It's Ocean.
man.
It's stuck at port.
It's stuck at port. That's the sticker.
So, are you thinking maybe there's some similarities, or just the fact that Jefferson's always proofs down, just like this is proof down? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to tell you, while you're talking about this and before we taste, when you're thinking about all the catalog across, you bring up a really interesting point about water added 100 proof. So the worst thing that happened to me was the very first Fitz Decanter I ever had was, I think, the first one ever released, which I think was 9 years. I think the 9 year was a spring 2018 release. Anyway, I get that bottle. I'm so excited to have it. I go home, I crack it right away, and it was just dry and weird. It like had a very dry and weird. It was almost like a cocoa dusty, like weird woody flavor to it. And I'm like, this is not good. And so I'm like, maybe it just needs to open up a little bit. My brother came to town like for Thanksgiving or something like that. Or maybe it was Christmas. I can't remember, whatever. And I had let that bottle sit for a long time. We opened it. And I said, what do you think of this? I didn't even tell him what it was. And he's like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. And I'm like, it is weird. And so I think I ended up actually trading that bottle locally for a Weller 12. And yeah. So
But you wish I had it back now.
yeah, I wish I had it back now. And so here's the thing. I didn't appreciate that first release. And then after that, I tried, I think the very first, or one of the next releases I got my hands on was a 15-year. And I tasted it and I was like, dang, that tastes like a 15-year Van Winkle, which I've had a sample of one time, you know, like, and I have my own bottle. And so then after that, I was hooked. I had to have all the Fitz. Didn't I sample some of that 15-year for you when you were at the house one time?
Yeah, I think that one night we kind of tried like a handful.
Yeah.
That was one of them.
And so I really liked that, and I was kind of hooked after that. So I'm really excited to try this 10-year. So should we go for our first taste?
I can't wait.
Giddy up.
All right.
I do like it.
Pleasant.
The front is sweet. I like that. It does linger a little bit. You know me, I like the quote unquote flavor ride, where things the front's different than the middle than the end. Not just the same flavor notes throughout the whole finish. This does change some. It's not bad. Not quite as sweet as I thought it would be for being 10 years old, but I do like it though.
Yeah. So what's throwing me a little bit is I'm surprised at how. So when I just mentioned the dry woody note that I got a second ago from the 9-year, I get a little bit of it here.
Yeah,
it's oaky. It's way oaky.
This is
for
oaky
10
for 10. No, this is oaky for 10.
Yeah, I'm like, wow. And so what's interesting is I feel like when you get a little bit higher age wheaters, especially with the higher proof, they kind of turn a corner and get to a point where they got like this really unique wood character. And this almost like feels like it's in between somewhere. Like I'm surprised it has so much oak. And it's not just regular like sweet oak. The front is sweet. I agree. It's like it's a little bit bitter. The oak's a little bit bitter.
It's oakier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But what about actual tastes and flavors? Do we get any flavors other than sweet and oaky?
I feel like the taste profile is pretty. You said it kind of developed a little bit, Kenny, but I feel like it's pretty like flat from beginning to end.
Okay, well,
I'm not getting much like up and downs as far as like,
I am
flavor.
on my third drink of it now, and I do have to agree with you on that now.
Okay.
So that's why I should have warmed up with a couple of something else, I guess.
You need to come in at 122.
I need to come in, and that's right.
Well,
But no, yeah, on third drink, it is sweet on the front, but then it just kind of stops and mellows out.
yeah. So
I'm gonna try some more of that.
I
That's
think,
weird.
Yeah, I think as far as like the actual flavors go to me, like I get a little bit of a classic Heaven Hill, a little bit of, I don't want to call it like a nutty caramel flavor. That's a little bit in this, right? And then there's a little bit of berry that you often get, like I don't know if it's a dark berry or a raspberry or something like that you get like a dark berry. But the finish for me is throwing me off a little bit. Like
That Heaven Hill nut is definitely there on the front, though.
Yeah,
No, for sure.
It's a little bit of that, but it's throwing me off. The finish is throwing me off a little bit because it's just a little bit more harsh than I thought it would be. It's like a harsh.
I thought it was just me, but when I don't know if it was my first or second drink.
Yeah, it's
but
like
I swallowed it and it hit me.
Dry, weird harshness that's going on with the finish.
It's just way oakier than I thought for 10 years.
Very oaky, yeah.
I wish I had an 8-year here to taste because the 8 didn't have that.
No, the 8 didn't have that. And you know what this reminds me of?
Why is it so oaky for 10 years?
I don't know. You know what it reminds me of, though?
Huh.
What was the one that I remember the one night you and I tried it? I think Caleb may have tried it too. He brought over the 16
16
year.
I think it was 16.
I think it was 16 red.
Yeah.
He didn't tell us what it was. We all tried it. And all of us are kind of like, it's just all right. It's not great. And then he said it was a 16-year Fitz. And we were like, really? And so that's part of the problem with this series. Like, I'm thinking right now.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we blind.
That's that's right. That's why we blind. But I was thinking, so if you go through the series real quick for those people that are interested in what else is offered, because if you're unfamiliar
Are you just going to start counting?
Oh, of course I am. That's really, well, here's the interesting thing, and maybe you guys can help me explain why it's like this and why it's the case. So this 10-year is the 11th national release. So when they say 11th national release, there's actually 13 bottles total in the vertical counting this one. There were 2 distillery-only releases, which is a 14-year red label and a 16 red label.
Okay.
Even though the 16-year distillery-only release ended up in liquor stores and all over the place, you could buy that thing in a lot of different places. It was like endless amounts of that. So it's an 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19. So we're missing a 12-year and an 18-year. There's no 12 and no 18. And I think that there's 2 versions of 14, 2 versions of 11, 2 versions of 9.
Well, I just received a text from Bernie, and he said that the 12 and 18 are coming. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Well, that means they're definitely not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I need to find out. I need to talk to a couple people that are more quote unquote insiders and figure out why this came out. Because, I mean, when I say everybody, I'm talking literally everybody. Said last year's. I mean, they even said it at the beginning of last year. There's going to be the 17 and a 19. I mean, they even said there's 2 releases coming. It's this year and this year. Boom, boom. And it was. So
exactly.
Must have been extra glass.
It had to be extra glass.
That's my guess.
Yeah. So being that both of you guys, I'm sure, have extensive experience drinking Pappy Van Winkle. Just kidding. No, but I was thinking about this. Like
I prefer the Pappy 10.
You prefer the 10, the Pappy 10? Hey, that's not a Pappy. How dare you? Hey, if you call that lot B or the 10 a Pappy, we're going to run you out, right?
It's funny seeing people get reamed over that.
I know. I mean, speaking of that, like, I feel like, don't you feel like the bourbon groups are dying a little bit?
Yeah. If it's just, I got into bourbon in early 2020, and that's when I guess the bourbon boomed a lot here more recently with all the people on lockdown and COVID and everything else. So I don't know if I've only just experienced the really fast-paced, the real action, the high, traffic bourbon groups, but right now it's definitely slow.
Yeah, it just seems like it's slow. And the other thing that's not as fun is I used to like the bourbon groups for the banter that would go on, right? And the camaraderie and like the making fun of people and participating in, God knows what on there, just having fun. And I feel like a lot of that's slowed down as well.
Maybe you got kicked out of all of them.
Yeah, you rightfully point that out. There are groups that I am no longer part of that
that's true.
I do miss them sometimes, but for the most part, like I don't miss them as much as I thought I would. So of course there's that as well. So maybe it's just me getting kicked out of groups.
They hear crickets and meanwhile everyone's chirping behind doors.
Yeah, right. Like, hey, what happened to that guy? I can't remember. I was messaging with somebody recently, and they're like, hey, I haven't seen you active in this one group in a while. And I'm like, I haven't been in that group in 7 months. And they were like, oh, really? What happened? And I'm like, well, it shows how much you're paying attention.
Work is real busy for him.
Yeah, there you go. Works
Total Wine is just hopping.
I thought we could get through one episode without Total Wine, but it's okay.
So guys, would you pass, try, or buy on the Old Fitz 10-year bib?
Would you like to go first, Kenny, or should I have the honors here?
I will go first.
Okay. Steven, I should have asked if you wanted to go first. Too late now.
I will go first.
You want to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah, let's hear your analysis.
Well, the bottle is great.
Yeah.
Yes. I am going to pass.
Oh,
It's very expensive.
Hold me back. I'm going across the table after him. No, go ahead.
Very expensive for not that exciting drink.
Okay, and yeah. So what would you take over it? Let me ask that. Would you take a beloved Weller 12 over this? Because Weller 12 is cheaper, secondary and probably retail. Yeah.
You know the mash bill on Weller 12?
No,
Three of the
I don't-
Wellers?
No,
I don't
because
either. I mean, Buffalo Traces. So
no,
secretive.
Buffalo Trace is just they.
I just didn't know if like Breaking Bourbon or some other kind of place ever cracked that or broke that.
They always just say there's a percentage of wheat. Yeah, percentage of wheat.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah,
It'd be fun to try this next to something else, blinded or whatever.
yeah. So you're passing.
I would pass on this.
Okay. All right. I respect that, even though I'm a little bit angry.
That's fine.
A little angry. Wait
That has
till
nothing to do with your collection.
Okay.
I
all
like
right.
your collection. Is very beautiful.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. If you didn't say that, I was coming after you. No.
I will go next.
Oh.
We'll let the Old Fitz vertical guy go last.
Yeah.
Oh God. Here we go.
The tater go
Kind
last,
of know what
right?
he's going to say, don't you?
I am a solid try if your buddy is buying the try for you. Besides that, I am a solid pass. I'm with Steven.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
I said it. I said it. I had super high hopes for this one because I love the 8-year.
Yep.
This is I don't understand how it is so oaky and bitter to be 10 years old.
Okay. So this is going to be really
Do
sad.
not let us influence you.
No, I'm not letting you guys influence me. Steven's making faces at me over there. I
Steven-
can't concentrate.
You know what we ought to do?
Shower him in his vertical.
Well, going forward, we ought to make each person write down.
Write down.
And then that way they can't
And then we
change
mix them up and we just read them out loud.
Yeah.
And we don't know.
There you go.
That way, because I think he might be influenced by both of us passing.
No. Here's where I'm going with this. Okay, I just told you guys that I didn't really like the 9-year, but I ended up going out and getting 2 more bottles of the 9-year.
Right.
Why did I do that? Because I was trying to build 2 verticals of this because I really wanted to have the whole collection twice. And you're like, why would you need the whole collection twice? Well, the whole reason that I wanted the collection twice is because I wanted to be able to open a whole vertical side by side by side by side by side by side. Okay, that's not enough side by sides.
Side.
And I also like the collectability of it because the decanters are so beautiful. So for the first time in the history of the Mashup podcast, I would be a buy only for the fact that I'm collecting these.
See, that's I was going to say you are a buy or a pass. You're not a try.
Right. I'm a buyer, I'm a pass. I'm not a
Right.
try.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I'm talking about just the liquid on the inside of the bottle,
Yeah.
there are other weeders I would much rather drink than this. So for the collectability and for the fact that I really want to have these as my collectibles, and I don't have a lot of collectible bourbon, but this is one that I would put in the collectible range. I would buy it for that reason. But if it comes to the liquid, I'm actually going to agree with you guys that I would probably pass. It just did not.
And I did not expect that from me
Right.
coming out. I did not.
Yeah. I
I love the 8, and I had high hopes for this.
Even compare it to the, a couple weeks ago we tried a Weller 107 that neither of us had in a while. And I know, Kenny, you've probably had 107 recently at some point in time because it's a regular drinker for a lot of people. That is hands down was a better pour than this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
And I think that's a weeder, too.
you think? No, but I mean, Buffalo Trace and Heaven Hill Weeders hit completely different, in my opinion. I think that if you're trying to compare those two at certain ages, they might taste the same. Like I told you guys, the 15-year Fitz and the 15-year Pappy do taste very similar. But I think by and large, there's not as much similarity between those weeders as you would think. I think that Maker's Mark and Buffalo Trace taste more similar than Heaven Hill's a little bit more of the higher corn, maybe.
We'll make this the 3rd episode in a row that I'm excited about the Maker's Mark bottle.
That's right. We need to get, just like we had to work on getting Steven a Weller 12, we need to get him one of those cellar age Maker's Marks.
I missed it today. It dropped. I dropped at our local liquor barn. So
Man.
I missed it.
I'm glad to hear it's not a distillery only release.
Well,
Supposedly it will be at the distillery in a few weeks. So
okay. Well, there you go, Steven. You got a chance, maybe?
No.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be.
I won't be here.
You won't be here. That's right. You'll be traveling again. God bless it. I told you before, just quit your job and do bourbon full time.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY.
Also, don't forget to visit our partner, bourbonoutfitter.com. Enter code THEMASHUP for a special discount.
Let us know your thoughts on the spot in the comment section. Until next time, keep it.
I love you, Fitz.